Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers, where I'm your host, the Ref. And you guys already know we'll be right back in 30 seconds. Right? So just hang tight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboard Keepers. We're around here, we don't keep receipts, we keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard Keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref, where I keep you up to speed and everything sports, hip hop, and hot topics. We got some hot news. Listen, fam, this is not just your regular news, man. Tonight, we going beyond just the games, man. We got a couple of shakeups in the NFL, okay? And I mean, you guys need to hold on tight because these are probably some things that you were not expecting, okay? You know, we always have these kind of things going on in the NFL and other sports, but right now NFL is just getting started. So when we have some shakeups like this, everybody needs to be informed. So you guys, I mean, as you guys already know, that a head coach was just fired mid-season. You know what I'm saying? And a veteran pass rusher has hung up his cleats. Okay? A veteran head coach has been fired, and veteran pass rusher, edge rusher, has hung up his cleats and called it quits. I mean, hey, it takes a lot for you to hang up your cleats in midseason, okay? And especially when you're on a winning team. So these ain't small stories. You understand what I'm saying? These are some serious things. So let's just get into it. First, as you guys, if you haven't been living under a rock, the Tennessee Titans have fired Coach Brian Callahan after a brutal 1-5 start to his second season. So, you know, they just got Cam Ward down. So the expectations down there are high. They want to win now. They've made a few mistakes in the past, and with the receiving and the drafting and getting moving on from Derrick Henry. I mean, listen, they made moves down there because Tennessee wants to win now. And Brian Callahan stepping into that position, he should have known that he was going to be under fire immediately. So they're not going to have too much patience down there right now because they want to win. They just got, Cam Ward, and they're going to want to get him off and started on the right foot right now. He's sitting down there right now watching Jackson Dart flourish in New York. You don't want the Tennessee Titans organization thinking that they made a mistake in drafting. Okay, if you're that guy coming out of Miami, they expect you to be that guy. They're hearing more about Jackson Dart right now than any time all year long. And here you are sitting down there, and you went way before Jackson Dart did. So I'm pretty sure the expectations are through the roof. This move basically makes him the first NFL coach to go in the midseason in 2025. Because there's some other coaches that are on the hot seat. There are some other coaches on the hot seat. They're keeping it on the low, but there are some other coaches in the NFL right now that are definitely on the hot seat if they don't get their act together. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not even going to mention their name because I don't want to spill it out right now. But it's another successful team out there. We're just sitting back and we're going to watch this one. We don't want to speak it into existence, but there's another successful team out there right now that has the pressure on them to absolutely win. They feel like they have the talent. They feel like they're built to win. And I'm pretty sure you guys out there can use your imagination. And if you know who I'm talking about, you can leave it down in the chat and I'll definitely respond back to you and let you know we're on the same page. But I can tell you right now, there's some coaches that are definitely going to be on the hot seat because it's getting to the point now where if you can't win with this recipe right here, then it has to be something wrong with the cook. Understand what I'm saying? If this meal, if you can't get this recipe together right here, when they giving you all the ingredients, then it has to be something wrong with the chef. So I'm just telling you right now, if your steak comes out and you ask for it well done and it keeps coming out medium rare and it's not seasoned right and something's going on and he has all the tools back there, then you know where you have to start looking. So this moves make him the NFL first NFL coach to go into midseason. And they said Callahan has finished his Titan tenure at 4-19 with an overall record. He's 4-19 with that's his record overall. 4-19. He's won 4 games down there. That's something wrong with the chef. That's something wrong with the chef. 19 times you couldn't get it right. Now, I do understand there has been a lot of transition going on in Tennessee. I do understand that they have problems with defense and certain areas, running back and trying to fill that hole. But look, the GM and the head coach has to be on the same page in these type of situations. Right now, we see what's going on right now in Cleveland. When you look at the Cleveland Browns, that looks like one of the most dysfunctional organizations in all of sports. You have a Super Bowl winning defense, and on the other hand, you have an offense that looks like they're made up of the Bad News Bears. You're making all these trades, you're changing all these pieces around, and the team just doesn't look like it's gelling. It looks like 2 different organizations on the side of the ball. The defense and the offense, they don't even recognize each other. One's built for greatness and the other one's built for who knows what. And then you're going through quarterbacks like a carousel. So if the GM and the head coach are not on the same page, what's the purpose of you sending that GM out to buy the groceries? Okay? Because obviously he's buying stuff that you don't know how to make. He's buying stuff that you don't know how to make. You need to get that GM to give you things and purchase things that are in your wheelhouse, that's where your strengths are. Then you can start to build and have success. You can build a rapport with whoever they bring in there and try to get the best results out of them. But if these kids, and I'm saying kids because a lot of these guys are young, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, so on and so forth. You want these kids to be able to buy into what you're selling. Okay? You don't want them to quit on you early, because if they quit on you early, right now Jackson Dart's buying into everything that's going on in New York. As soon as they gave him a shot, him and Cam Scatterboo buying into it. That's going to build a recipe for success, and we're talking about in one of the largest markets in sports. I mean, if you're not doing well in New York, somebody's going to be right there in your locker room with a microphone asking you the questions on why and what's going on. And it doesn't take New Yorkers to figure out where the issue lies. Okay? So I see where Tennessee is at with theirs and see where they're going with it. You know what I mean? And you say, why now? Tennessee's offense has been stagnant. They average just under 4 yards per play, and their scoring numbers are historically low. So, I mean, if that's a problem, because now you're not just dealing with poor coaching. You're dealing with finding yourself in historical situations, which means that maybe you should not even been on that level. It's a possibility that you're not even able to coach on that level. You know what I mean? I mean, are you being out-coached every game in order for you to be in this situation? You've won 4 games out of 19. That means that every time, that means that 19 opponents have come in there and have outdueled you somewhere on the field. It can't always be talent. It can't always be talent. You've only won 4 games. I would like to go back and if I would ever have a chance to go back and look at the 4 games that he won and see what it was that was going on in those games that made him successful in those 4. So if I'm Tennessee, to be honest with you, I'm very careful. Okay, I got to be very careful. Why? You say, why would Tennessee have to be very careful? Well, because you're entering a point in the season where do you want to throw the towel in front of Cam Ward right now? Do you want to do that? Do you want to throw the towel in front of these young players that you have there and expect them, first year players, and expect them to be able to finish the season? You know what I mean? Like it's a touchy time to be actually getting rid of the leadership on the team right now. We don't know the relationship that's going on between Cam Ward and Brian Callahan, but if there was a rift going on there, and then a lot of people may not mind seeing him go. But if he's built a good rapport with Cam Ward, then that could be a touchy situation, especially if if the management has done something that the quarterback, your future quarterback, is not in agreement with. So you don't want to be in that type of situation. You want everybody to be on one accord, and everybody has to buy in to be successful. It goes like this. The people thought draft capital, you know what I mean, including rookie quarterback Cam Ward, would help. But injuries, inconsistencies, and poor execution has derailed it. So it's not just maybe Cam Ward's not everything that they thought he would be. Now, you guys know over here on the Scoreboard Keepers, we already told y'all on several different episodes and several different lives that Jackson Dart was the best quarterback in that draft. Okay, we're talking over Dylan Gabriel, over Shedeur Sanders, over Will Howard, and any other quarterback that was coming out. We told y'all. So this is not as much as it is a talent issue. It's an evaluation issue. Multiple teams missed out on Jackson Dart. I said that, I look at the teams that really had a need for quarterback at that point in time, and I understand that teams like to build on defense because that's their personality. But at that time, technically, when Jackson Dart was still laying there, Pittsburgh Steelers were in the most need, the team in most need of a quarterback, simply because they haven't really had a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. So he's been basically winning without his guy. He's been basically winning without a true quarterback that you can say that you can call his. But that would even be dangerous if you brought in a quarterback right now, because they've been going through offense coordinators, like Swiss cheese. So, every time you turn around, there's a new offense coordinator coming there because they're trying to figure it out on offense. So God forbid if you bring a quarterback in there, your franchise, and he has to keep going through offense coordinators. Hey, let me just tell you, that could be Jalen Hurts' issue. Every time you turn around, there's somebody else new calling plays. Nobody's mentioning that. Everybody wants to go and look at his faults, look at his mistakes, but nobody wants to say anything about him. Keep getting all these new play callers. Listen, that thing is, that's like marriage. That's a marriage relationship. If it goes bad, it's like a bad divorce. I see his body language sometimes when he's out there, and it's like maybe he's not buying in to what's going on. And then you go and look at the coach that used to call his plays out there in Indianapolis, and look what they're doing. So sometimes you got to lay off of, is the quarterback doing this, that, and there. Sometimes we got to give coaches more credit than they deserve. Some coaches don't deserve credit that they get for having certain talents. But then you have those ones that fall through the cracks and they go unnoticed when they're really actually so good that they can go and get a head coaching job out in Indianapolis and turn that whole entire organization around. So I'm just saying, just look at it. Men and women lie, but numbers don't. Look at what's going on out there in Indianapolis right now, and look at what's going on with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones don't look like the same Daniel Jones that was in New York with the Giants. So there was quarterbacks out there that a lot of teams could have moved on. That was another guy I thought Pittsburgh could have moved on, which was Daniel Jones. He has good arm, good legs. He just was in a bad situation, and some people they think it's the actual player. No, he was in a bad situation. The relationships was bad. It was time for him to go. I thought Minnesota moving on from him was a mistake. I thought that he should have taken over at Minnesota. Him and Justin Jefferson would have been amazing together. And y'all already know how we feel over here at the Scoreboard Keepers. We don't like rookie quarterbacks tossing the ball to $100 million receivers if they're not like Jackson Dart. Okay, we're not sold on JJ. Okay, we're not sold on him just yet. But for him to come in there and to be, you don't give your keys to the Rolls Royce to your child, do you? And say, go ahead and drive around town. And they just got their license for the first year. No, you don't do that. Okay, you ease them into that thing. Okay, because somebody like Justin Jefferson that has to wait around on a rookie quarterback to come around, and he's $100 million, arguably the best receiver in the league, and you have a rookie quarterback thrown to him. I don't like that philosophy at all. So good luck to Brian Callahan down there in Tennessee. He's gone. So you guys can leave in the comments, is that a score or a snore? Do y'all think that Tennessee made the right move? Type score in the comments. If you don't like it, type snore. Okay, and I'm going to interact with the comments as well. Moving on from that, next we got Za'Darius Smith. Okay, longtime NFL edge rusher, announced his retirement at the age of 33. He just signed a contract with the Philadelphia Eagles not long ago. He recorded 1.5 sacks in 5 games this season. Smith had a solid career, 3 Pro Bowls, strong pass rush impact. His departure leaves a void in Philly's defensive front. Now, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I mean, they're going to have to, I don't know where they're going to find defensive ends. I don't know where they're going to find pass rushers. They brung him in there just because of certain people retiring and them losing people in free agency. That pass rush is definitely not what it was last year. Now, you guys got to understand something. Over here, we don't believe that you can buy Super Bowls. When you start putting together all-star teams and the next year, the team does not look like it did last year, the previous year, that's not how you build dynasties. If you want to go out here and be hitting the free agency every year and have the most draft picks and all of that, that's not a philosophy I would want my team to be under. I don't want to look next year and not know who my team is. You know what I'm saying? To understand what I'm saying, it should be some familiarity with my team. If I'm building a dynasty, I have to have my core. In Philadelphia, it seems like to be a revolving door, you know. And I mean, they were lucky enough to acquire somebody like Saquon Barkley. That came from a coach that didn't know what he was doing. We all watched it on television as Saquon Barkley was being dealt. We saw that. He wasn't asking for much money. Imagine Saquon Barkley with New York right now. I mean, just imagine that. They would be the powerhouse in the NFC East. He would be falling right in where he wanted to be and being successful and having a quarterback. They would have had elite neighbors. I could arguably say that if he was there, it might have taken a little pressure off from elite neighbors. He may not have gotten hurt. Everything works hand in hand. Everything works hand in hand. And we've always been a stickler over here for, like I said, rookie quarterbacks throwing $100 million receivers because we believe bad quarterback play gets people hurt. And that's why that position makes all the money, okay? Because this is a very important position. They definitely have to be in command of the game. Okay, so what do these things mean, man? Okay, for the Titans, firing a coach mid-season says 2 things. They're impatient. They believe the trajectory is worse than just a bad record, which I have to agree with. This is what they're quoting. They believe that the trajectory is worse than just a bad record. So I have to double down on that. I do believe that because he just happened to walk in a situation to an organization that wants to do an about face. They don't want to be going down that road. You know, I like I said, I still don't think that getting rid of Derrick Henry was a good choice, but they obviously were feeling as though that it was time to move into a new direction. Okay. They've committed to making changes now, not waiting until next year. That high risk, but also how you reset expectations. So we don't know exactly what their expectations are, to be honest with you, because you get rid of somebody like Derrick Henry, who we find is not finished. So that's somebody who's still, you're able to turn around and give the ball to 20 times a game and him just start wearing defenses down. He's still that guy. So what are your expectations really when you get rid of a veteran like that who you really haven't replaced? How can you replace Derrick Henry? How can you do that? For Smith and the Eagles, right? For Za'Darius, losing a veteran like that is more. It's more than just stats. Okay, it's he's a leader. He's a leader in that defense. You know, you got a lot of young guys. Keely Ringo. You got Cooper DeJean. You got Mitchell. You got a lot of young guys on that defense. So losing somebody like Za'Darius Smith for the Philadelphia Eagles, you're losing experience and definitely his locker room presence because he's been around for a long time. You know, you're talking about a previous Pro Bowler. Okay. So, and especially right in the middle, right in midseason, you can't just easily replace that because who's going to be available? You got a lot of edge rushers that are not even out for the year right now. You know, even Fred Warner went down yesterday. He's going for the season. Bosa's out for the season. So, finding edge rushers right now is at a premium. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to be very careful out here because that can be very dangerous moving in. And then if you bring a guy in, he has to learn the whole entire defensive scheme. Okay, he got to get with Vic Fangio and find out what it is he's really supposed to do. Who's going to be willing to give up a player right now? Like, you're definitely coming off of some of them draft picks. Okay, if you want to get an edge rusher right now, you're definitely coming off of some of those draft picks. And this is why I was thinking that it was at a point in time where I really thought that Micah Parsons would have ended up in Philly. I really thought that that's where he would end up. So just think about it now. But would Philly have been willing to give up those first round picks? I'm not so sure about that. But I'll tell you one thing. Looking at that hindsight now, that would have been the perfect situation, wouldn't it? That would have been the perfect situation. You would definitely be talking about them being in a repeat situation, So, let's drop our hot takes, man. This is the score or snore segment, guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we gotta know if it's score or snore. You know what I'm saying? The Titans gamble, it might backfire because interim coaches often struggle with the identity. So we know that you just can't turn the reins over to anybody down there, like we said, in Tennessee, and expect a young rookie quarterback to buy in, not unless there's already somebody there that he's going to trust in and respect. The Eagles' defensive depth better be ready to step up because with Za'Darius Smith's sudden exit, it means that all them other players are going to have to step up now, or that pass rush will just not be there, and you got all of those young guys back there in the secondary. Not mind you, they don't have CJ Garner-Smith any longer either at safety. You no longer have a big play Darius Slay. Okay, you don't have them guys over there any longer. So that this basically it's a definite signal for a season with zero safety nets. Okay, if you don't got it there and you haven't built your organization for to have those type of safety nets around, then you may be suffering for the foreseeable future. If you can't get to the quarterback, there'll be somebody back there that'll be able to pick you apart. And right now, that's not what you want if you're facing a team like Washington Commanders, Detroit Lions, Denver Broncos, Buffalo Bills, and of course the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. I mean, it's just that's not a situation that you want to be in. Trust me when I tell you, because you'll find yourself, hey, how about them Rams? How about them Seattle Seahawks? Okay. So coaches and players alike, they know the margin is thin. So you got to be careful out there. One stretch of poor performances, and you're going to find yourself on the hot seat, whether it is at coaching or whether it is at trying to find a player to replace the one that you lost. So you guys tell me. I want you to leave this down in the comments. Let me know if it's a score or is it a snore, okay? Because we will put the points on the board. You see the clock is up there, okay? We're not scoring it right now, but normally we would. We want to hear it from you. We want to interact with you guys in the chat, okay? And I'm definitely going to comment back to you guys and see where your head is about this. So the Titans firing Brian Callahan. some say it was overdue and they needed to act before things got worse. So is it a score? Is it a snore? Do you think they should have? Do you think them firing Brian Callahan was a score, that they did the right thing, or what? Or is it a snoozer? Is it a snore? Which one is it? And Za'Darius Smith, okay, it's bad to lose a vet like that, but at some point every career is going to come to an end, and his happened to come to an end in Philly. And they basically got the whole Georgia Bulldogs defense over there. So it's time for some new blood to step up and see what they can do. So do you think Smith's retirement was a score, or was it a snore? Do you think him retiring right now, was it a good move? Was the timing right, or snore? Should he have waited? Was this a good time for him to do that? You guys let me know in the comments. So it's just crazy because, as I was looking on Twitter today, it was a lot of fans going crazy. Fans, the Titans fans were saying, hey, finally they did it. Why wait? You know what I'm saying? And the Eagles fans, when I looked in some tweets coming from the Eagles fan base, they were just saying, they're losing their edge, so replace them with youth. You know what I'm saying? So they know that they have a lot of youth, and that's the plus of having depth on your team, especially on defense. We all know that offense wins games, but what? Defense wins championships. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I mean? That's going to conclude this episode of the Scoreboard Keepers, man. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thumb up the video. Turn on your notification bell, man, and smash that like button. Okay, smash it. Okay, smash that like button and let's interact and find out what's going on, because we're going to start scoring this thing as well. And I look forward to reading the comments down below to see what you guys think about this. Personally, over here, we think that, well, I ain't going to tell you just yet. How about that? I want to see the comments first, and then we'll respond back. So, I appreciate you guys and your patience. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. Till then, God bless and score. Let's go. See you guys on the next episode. Peace.